Hi students, I hope you're having a great day so far. Today we are going to go ahead and talk about story structure. So story structure is the different parts of the story. So it is the setting, the characters, and the problem and solution. So we have four. Today we are focusing on setting, characters, and action. And we're going to talk about which or what those three things mean. So first, characters. So characters are the people or animals in a story. So this week we're reading Two Bear Cubs, and all of the characters in this story, well, it's actually a play. All of the characters in this play are actually listed on page 133, but we are going to be looking in the story to help us understand who the characters are and what different parts of the story they're in. Now, we also have the setting. The setting is where and when a story takes place. So it might take place in a forest, it might take place at a school, a story might take place in somebody's kitchen. So that's really important to know where, but also when. So some stories have happened a way long time ago in the past. So it could be taking place in maybe 1950 or 1960. So it's also important to know what year the story takes place in. And some stories actually don't tell us when they take place, but we almost always know where they take place. And the action is what the characters in the story do to solve the problem in the story, or maybe even what they do to create a problem. So I'm going to change this and say due to create or solve the problem in the story. So we all know that every story has a problem that the characters are trying to solve. So we are going to look at these ones today. Now, before we go any further, I want you to know that the word of the day is bear cub. So that will be in your seesaw assignment, and you will need to type that in where it asks you what the word of the day is. So it is bear cub. I thought that was fitting with our story. Okay, so let's go back to this chart, and actually let's go to our Journeys book. So you're going to need your Journeys book for this assignment, especially the seesaw, and we are going to go ahead and look at our story of the week, which is on page 133. So go ahead and pause this video until you have that out. Okay, now that we have our Journeys books on page 133, we are going to go ahead and fill in the, let me show you. We're going to go ahead and fill in the chart that tells us what, if I can get it, sorry guys. We're going to fill in the chart where it says characters, setting, and action, okay? So if we look here, it tells us the characters of this story, okay? But we have three scenes in a story, or in this play, because remember, this is actually a play that is supposed to be performed on a stage. And we have three scenes. So the way we can tell the scenes apart is on the pages, it will say scene 1 here on page 134. And we know when that scene ends because then on page 139, it says scene 2, okay? So we have three scenes in total. So that's really important when you are finding the characters, setting, and action of this story, because you're going to need to know what scene to look at. So we want to make sure we're not looking at the wrong scene of the story. So if we look here, and we look to see what the different characters are in scene 1. We have the storyteller, we have the older brother here, and we know who the characters are because they're in this brown here, okay? So we have the storyteller, who is the person who's telling the story. We have the older brother. We go over here, we have younger brother, mother grizzly, older brother again. I turn the page. It looks like on this page, we just have the older brother and the younger brother talking, and then the storyteller again. And if I turn the page, we go to scene 2. So it looks like the only characters in scene 1 of this story are the storyteller, older brother, younger brother, and Mother Grizzly. So if I go back to my chart, and I go to setting, characters, I'm going to start with actually the characters now. Okay, so we just found out who the characters in this story were, or in scene 1, because right here it says scene 1. So we have Mother Grizzly, and it's really important to capitalize their names because they are characters in the story. They're proper nouns. Younger brother, older brother, and the storyteller. Okay, so I'm going to type that in for the first one there. Okay, so now that we have characters, let's look at the setting. Remember, the setting is where and when a story takes place. So if we go back and we look in our textbook here, it actually tells us the setting right here. A forest and mountain, stage left, so that's on the left side of the stage would be a forest and a mountain. Open sky dotted with clouds, stage right, blue cloth or painted cardboard across the front of the stage suggests a river. So it's supposed to be cardboard painted blue that looks like a river. But I know from reading scene 1 today that this scene, because we're breaking it down by scenes, you have to remember that. This scene takes place like in the forest where they're picking the berries. Okay, Mother Grizzly told her sons to go pick berries, but not to go too far down by the river. So we know there's also a river in this setting of scene 1. So I think that we should write down for the setting here that it takes place with a forest, with a mountain in the background, and there is a river. So I'm going to go to my chart, and I'm going to write down a forest, a mountain, and a river. That's really important to include the river there because the Mother Grizzly told younger and older brother not to go down too far by the river because strange things happen there. So they disobeyed her, and they actually did go down by the river, and something strange did definitely happen to them. So now we have to do the action. The action is what the characters in the story do to create or solve the problem in a story. Okay, so in scene 1, hopefully you listened to this story read yesterday by either the video or watching or listening to your teacher read it in class. And if we go back to the story, we can see that on these 2 pages, Mother Grizzly wants her boys to go down and gather berries. Right here, she says, "Children, stop scaring away the fish or we will have nothing to eat. Out of the water now. I want you to gather berries, but stay close and do not go down river. Strange things happen there." So then the cubs move to the river on the stage, and they start picking berries. And they say, "Look at these berries. They're so sweet. Taste them." And younger brother says, "We should take them back to Mother." But the older brother ignores them. "I have eaten too many." Older brother says, "We will bring some back later." "Oh, I am full too. Let's see what is downriver." But younger brother says, "We're not supposed to go there." But the older brother says, "I see only the river and trees and stones. What is there to fear?" So the older brother is not obeying his mother, and he's saying, "There's nothing to fear. We can go further down the river." But then younger brother says he's tired and he wants to take a nap. And then the boys both take a nap on the big flat rock that they see, and they just lie down there. But then the storyteller says that the cubs fall asleep on this stone, but the stone was the seat of a mountain. As they slept, the stone grew bigger and bigger, higher and higher. It carries them so high that only Hawk saw them as he flew by. So now we have to see, well, what happened in this scene? okay? Because that is the end of scene 1, and I know that because if I flip the page, scene 2 begins. So I have to say what happened in scene 1 for the action. And just like we read, we can type down, well, you're not typing anything, but I can type down that Mother Grizzly tells her sons to go pick some berries. Whoop. So she tells them to go pick some berries, but not to go too far downriver. But not to go too far downriver. The cubs pick berries, but disobey their mother and go farther down the river. Or we can just say disobey their mother and go farther. Then they fall asleep on a rock. Okay, but little do they know, it is a seed to a mountain. The rock grows into a large mountain. All right, so that is what we write for the action in scene 1. Now, for scenes 2 and 3, you are going to go on Seesaw, and you're going to definitely have to use your textbook for this assignment. There is no completing this assignment without using your textbook. So you can go back and listen to it from yesterday, or you can read it on your own. And there's going to be some blanks that you're going to have to fill in. I have already filled in the setting, characters, and action for some of them in scenes 2 and 3. You're going to have to fill in the blank boxes by using your textbook. So you can always rewatch this video if you need to remember what the setting, characters, or action in the story is by going through these slides. Remember, the word of the day is the bear cub, okay? So I will go ahead and let you work on your Seesaw assignment now, and I wish you all luck, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.